What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this I had never heard of these common British pastimes before moving to the UK. And a big announcement. Again, we are back with the Girl Gone London channel. Her channel is absolutely incredible. Make sure you guys go check it out and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to watch her original video, I will link that down in the description section. I'm intrigued to see these British pastimes, what you guys be doing out there. Before we jump in, though, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you would like to support the channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Kaylin, talk to me.
And the couple of times I have played, I do rely on people screaming at me, telling me what to do, so keep that in mind if you're ever deciding whether to choose me for your Rounders team. You might ask how many bowling greens I've been to in my life. Not a ton, but enough that I got this impression. Hi, and welcome back to the Girl Gone London channel. Today I have a big announcement, and we're talking about British hobbies and pastimes that I had never heard of before moving to the UK. Now, I debated whether I should put the announcement at the end of the video or the beginning, and I'm gonna do it first because I'm excited, but if you immediately go and click off of this video, that's going to tell YouTube that this video is not good, and you don't know that yet. So, if you have it in you, as exciting as this announcement is, please listen to the announcement, stay tuned for the rest of this video, and then go crazy. So here we go. For months now, I've been trying to figure out a way to follow another interest of mine, which is hobbies. Literally, hobbies are my interest. People's passions are interesting to me. I love people who love niche things or interesting things, or are just so obsessed with things that you thought it wasn't possible to be obsessed with. Because that is how I am, which you'll know if you've seen an entire video I made about TV test cards. So, to follow this passion for passions, a new channel and a new series has been born, and the first episode is ready for you to watch. The series is called For the Love, and I'll be taking you behind the scenes of people's fascinating interests and trying them out for myself. From foraging for mushrooms, to model railways, to riding unicycles, and more. In the first episode, I visit one of the UK's largest model railway shows and try it out for myself. This video also has an interview with Pete Waterman, and if you don't know, he's a very famous British music producer, and he happens to love model railways. He agreed to talk to me as part of this video, which I'm really excited about, to include his voice in there. Now, the Girl Gone London channel will not be changing and will be continuing very shortly. In fact, as we are about to head off to my list of British interests that I hadn't heard before. But if you also find niche hobbies or pastimes interesting, please follow the link in my description to the new channel after you finish watching this video. And make sure to watch and subscribe over there, because I will share when new videos are launched via this channel, but you may miss it if you're not subscribed to the new one. This is a completely new venture for me, completely new format, and honestly kind of scary to put out there because it's out of my comfort zone, but I hope you like it. Okay, let's go back to this channel.
I think that's like really cool, really awesome, and I love that she's chasing that passion of following other people's passions and like trying them out and getting to learn more about them and getting to interview people on why they love it. I think that's like really amazing, and that's super dope to start another channel. So y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to her new channel because that's cool.
And talk about British pastimes that I had never heard of in America. I'm using pastimes kind of loosely here because we have a mix of sports, hobbies, and interests, but the first one on my list is Rounders. Also, I know a lot of these are played in other countries, but they're not popular in the US, and this is a British versus the US channel, so that's why we're calling them British pastimes. Anyway, I had no idea what Rounders was until I met a bunch of British people playing it. They tried to get me to understand the rules by saying, it's like baseball, and it kind of is, but there are enough key differences that you definitely look like a dumb American if you play Rounders while thinking it's baseball, because they're not actually that similar. You also run in Rounders whether you hit the ball or not, which is again where I kept going wrong, because in baseball, you get 3 strikes, so if you miss the ball, you kind of just wait there and you get to go again up to 3 times. In rounders, even if you miss it, you run. So everyone starts yelling at you, what are you doing? If you just stand there waiting for the next pitch, that's not gonna happen. The fields are also a different shape, though rounders is more of like a garden game or game you play at school rather than a professional sport that you watch on TV like baseball. So sometimes a rounders pitch or field is just the best you can randomly do in your yard. Honestly, I'm still not entirely sure about the rules of rounders, and the couple of times I have played, I do rely on people screaming at me, telling me what to do, so keep that in mind if you're ever deciding whether to choose me for your rounders team. Next on my list is...
I would love for somebody to please break down rounders for me. Like, rules, what is rounders? I've never heard of this game. You run even when you don't hit the ball. That is a very interesting concept to me. And I would love for someone to be able to expand on this concept, please.
Is snooker. So I am familiar with the game
like
pool. So at first I thought snooker was just another word for pool, but turns out they're different games. And they're played on different tables with different rules and equipment. So I was wrong on all counts. Snooker is a very British-centric game with a lot of the top players being from the UK or other Commonwealth countries, though that's not exclusively so because it's becoming more popular in parts of Asia. But in the USA, we never really got the snooker memo. Most Americans won't know what it is, and I tried to find the reason for this, but it's mostly just guesses. There was no big ban on snooker or any dramatic history. Americans just aren't as exposed to it, so they usually won't see a snooker table, so they won't watch it on TV, and the cycle continues. Pool is definitely well known and played often in the US, so it gets the most exposure, and people know the rules and typically know how to play. Before we move on to some other sports,
I ain't never heard. I legit thought snooker was another word for pool. I didn't know it was two different games, so that is news to me. So what exactly? Again, you guys have to tell me a lot in this one. What exactly are the rules of snooker? Snooker. How do you say it? First of all, what are the rules? How big is it in the UK? I don't know about it.
Let's talk about some British pastimes, I would call them. There's one that is less common in the US than in the UK, and that is train spotting. Train spotting is a hobby that involves watching trains and recording details about them, like engine numbers, so you're going in person. Typically, train spotters might take pictures, they might share information with other train spotters online and in chat rooms. And in the USA, people do this. Apparently it's called rail fanning in the USA, but train spotting has been a part of British culture since the 1940s. It took off a little bit more in the US after the 1996 film adaptation of the novel of the same name, and actually train spotting in the US has grown a lot since 2020, as it was something that people could do while socially distanced, and also people started live streaming trains to watch at home, but it's even more niche in the USA than in the UK, I would say. If you think about it, the US is not as well connected via train as the UK, and actually getting to a place where you can look at locomotives passing isn't as easily accessible to many people in the USA as it is in the UK. And so regardless of how many people participate in the hobby in the US, this video is things I didn't know about before moving to the UK, and I hadn't heard of train spotting, so that's why it makes the list. Next on my...
I watch videos of trains, like seeing how fast they are, like where they fly right by, and I guess that's spotting, somebody train spotting and uploading it. But like these are all so absolutely foreign to me. Like UK, what y'all got all these new things, these different things over there. What in the world? I know about the cheese roll, and I absolutely love watching that. Well, okay, let's keep
list going. Is bowls or lawn bowls. This is honestly one of the most British sports you can find, and in fact, bowls in England is traced back to the 13th century. I am not necessarily the right age demographic yet for bowls. I feel like I do notice an older demographic in the sport as the ones who belong to bowls club and things like that. But I weirdly find the contained nature of a bowling green very relaxing for some reason, just being there. You might ask how many bowling greens I've been to in my life. Not a ton, but enough that I got this impression. Now, bowling like this is very popular in the USA, but we're not big on lawn bowls. Many will not have heard of it, and the closest we have is a cousin to bowls known as bocce ball. But it's not the same, and even bocce ball is going to have a small amount of Americans who know how to play or have heard of it compared to our other major activities.
But I don't know how to play it.
On the other hand, I feel like even if you don't play it, most Brits have at least heard of bowls, and American lawn games tend to be things like horseshoes or cornhole. So clearly we like to throw things rather than roll things. I don't know. Yeah. Next on my list is...
Again, another one. Never heard of bowls. What is going on? I need to go to the UK. I need to experience the culture and all the different things that you guys enjoy.
Netball. Genuinely had never heard of it until I moved to the UK. We don't play it in the US outside of like literally just a few clubs that I could find throughout.
I've seen like clips. I feel like maybe like on TikTok or something. I don't know the rules. Do you just pass it? It doesn't look like you're allowed to jump. It looks like and you're not allowed to dribble. So you just kind of pass it up. And then the person kind of shoots it from somewhere. I don't know.
The entire country probably started by somebody from a Commonwealth country. It's definitely more of a Commonwealth country game. And I've heard it described as more female dominated and something girls might play in school. In the US, the sports that would be like that would be volleyball, lacrosse, basketball, maybe soccer, but not netball. From what I can gather, netball is a derivative of basketball and began when an American teacher who was teaching in England introduced basketball, but used netted rings instead of the backboards that you'd have in basketball, which honestly sounds like it needs to be made into some sort of like inspirational netball movie. But even if people have heard of it in passing in the US, it's unlikely that most Americans could actually tell you what the sport is or describe it to you. I've never played it personally, so perhaps that's an idea for a future video. Next on my list is punting. When you say punting to an American, we think of punting like kicking a ball in American football. In the UK, some people enjoy punting that looks like this. You're boating in a boat that is known as a punt, hence the name punting. A punt is a flat-bottomed boat and you use a long pole to push it along a river. They were first used to carry cargo and for fishing, but now people use them recreationally, typically in cities like Oxford or Cambridge or Canterbury, and it's a quintessential British experience to have, and some people are really into it. So there are punting clubs like the Thames Punting Club, as well as punt racing, though most people in the UK do see it as something to do occasionally on a really warm day on a visit to one of the cities I've mentioned. And finally...
This is all like so interesting to me because none of this I have ever heard of in my life. You guys would have to explain every game to me and whether you guys play it or it's just a very niche sport. I don't know.
Narrow boats. The US does not have a canal system like the UK for these narrow boats. And Americans like boating, but the boating that they do is typically on a lake or out in the ocean. So the wonderful world of narrow boating is not familiar to most Americans. There are some boats on the Erie Canal that are more similar to a wide beam in the UK, and the US does have houseboats, but UK narrowboats are specifically designed for this canal system. They're not for taking out onto larger or open waters, and so it makes sense that without this canal system, Americans aren't big into narrowboating because we don't have it. That being said, there are some Americans who are fascinated by it and make sure to follow YouTube channels featuring it as well as watching travel documentaries on it. So there's a niche of Americans who are fascinated by it, but most Americans haven't heard of it. I had never heard of it before moving to the UK. That brings me to the end of this video. Don't forget to check out my new model railway video at the link below, and thanks again for watching.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of these pastime, sports, anything here. So yeah, that's about my knowledge on it. I would love for you guys to explain everything if you can. That would definitely be nice. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the next one. See you guys next time.